Good evening. This is a brand new spooky edition of How Did We Get Here for Halloween. And yeah, as funny as it is, as much shit as I talk about vampires, this is going to be kind of a vampire centric episode. We're going to be talking about the classic trilogy of 30 Days and Nights book. Probably a little bit more because I know Joe really dived in deep. I read the OG trilogy. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
the best in my opinion. That is
Well,
probably it's probably
well,
one of the, I don't want to comment on everything after, but like I just want to
mhm,
say it's probably one of the strongest horror trilogies ever, let alone in comics. I think that it's
mm.
written really tight. The way they tie everything up's pretty good. Yeah, the OG 30 Days a Night trilogy is what we're going to be talking about, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But first, we got kind of a check in. But before that, also we got Cookie in the house. We
Yeah,
got and
Pixelxia,
Pixelsia up in the house. Um,
Pixlexia, I think. So
Pixel.
like dyslexia, but Pixlexia.
That's fitting because
Yeah.
I'm dyslexic and that's why I could not read. I'm terribly sorry about that. But I'm a
I
hooked
think
on
I
phonics
actually
kid.
think I think actually if you go on Instagram, I can't remember what if it's Pixlexia as well on Instagram, but I think he just dropped a new jam on Instagram. He dropped something. I think it's on Spotify as well, so people could go check that out. Go find him on Instagram, and you can find the link to some of his stuff. Man, I think he's connected to the Solus crew, the collective. So yeah, man, go check that stuff out. Yeah, so before we start and get into all the fun stuff, I just want to talk about something a little more serious that's seems to be a reoccurring thing that's been going on within the comics community these days, about creators having a hard time getting paid, books being delayed, late payments. This seems to be something that's been a very unfortunate trend that's been happening lately. And I mean, people like to boycott publishers and stuff, but try to remember that these creators created these books. So maybe not boycott publishers, but instead follow creators. Regardless of where they publish their books, don't don't boast publishers, but boast the creators more than anything. Support those creators, regardless of where they're publishing their books, because I mean, you buying their books is just going to keep them busy, and if they move on to some other publisher that treats them better, the fact that their book may be sold well with a shittier publisher will just help them get more work later on. So
Yeah, because
yeah.
we're not going to name names or anything, but like there are personal friends of the show, who are creators that have been totally hosed by their studios, and it's not cool. And like Joe said, like if you're a fan of these people, like and you're still reading these books, which is good, like shout them out. Don't shout out the publisher. Um,
Mm. And I'll just say one thing: when you see a small publisher team up with a bigger media company, or
get worried.
that seems to be a red flag right now. Where I think the comics division, when they team up with another bigger media company, tends to, I think, fall in the wayside and is no longer a priority. And the way they seem to be handling their business is the creators get the short end of the stick. So, from what I can tell from the trend and from the pattern for all those creators out there, if you're watching, if a publisher just recently teamed up or partnered or sold their imprint to a bigger media conglomerate company or
like a,
whatever.
like a heavy metal album record label or a video game company specifically, I would say like watch out for those two, but like definitely the heavy metal label for some reason, which sucks because
Or one that we can publicly, because it's been very public, is what was it, last year? Aftershock is a perfect example where they wanted to get into the television and movie business, right? Farming IPs to try to get that big money like Marvel and DC did with, or hitting gold with just one IP that can turn into a franchise, the movies and TV. And look, they screwed a lot of creators over on the lower end of it. Like the creators were the ones creating all these things, and they're the ones who got, you know, screwed in the end. So the only one I'll call out is Aftershock, because they're pretty much dead in the water. They're not making any. They're just selling trades through Diamond now. They're not creating any original content anymore. So I mean, look out for companies that are trying to go bigger than maybe too big too fast, or trying to go for that home run swing, swinging for the fences. Sometimes, trying to go big isn't the best thing, especially comics are a niche market as it is. So, and I feel for them because now even smaller publishers are going on Kickstarter and they're starting to invade the Kickstarter
Yeah.
space. Like I
Bad
see,
idea. Bad idea.
yeah, you got Source Point Press that's often launching Kickstarters. I mean, Black Mask has done it, and I'm not criticizing them for it, but I mean, a lot of small publishers are trying to get their money up front now by going through Kickstarter as well. So, I mean, it's getting harder for the smaller guys, for the really independent guys to get out there and try to get their books out. One, they're not getting paid by maybe some publishers. And two, I mean, the smaller publishers are starting to invade these crowdfunding spaces that maybe, you know, there's an oversaturation on the Kickstarter, I think, with like comic books and stuff now. So it's getting harder for these smaller guys to get exposure. So I mean, if there's a creator you like, man, go out there, go on the crowdfunding, support them there, support their books if they're with a publisher, because you know what, all of you people who love like Tinians and uh, like David Pepose is working for Marvel now. Well, you know what? They start at these smaller publishers and they started small. So if you want to keep getting these great creators working on the big two, well, maybe you should go support them when they're working on, like when they're smaller and doing smaller things, to help get them some exposure, so
There's one thing I'm going to shout out that uh, ties into this, and he's made it very abundantly clear on his Instagram and socials. Vasily Lalos and what Z2 Comics is doing. I've been a kind of a friend of his for a while. I wanted to get him on the show, and yeah, he's go on Instagram and read about it. He's very more eloquent, very more angry. Lalos Vasilis, check him out. He is an incredible talent. He is sadly very underrated, and yeah, he was just barely starting to get his name popping again. And yeah, he's like, man, I feel for the dude. So yeah, and that support these guys, man. Support the creators, you know what I mean? And that's what I do, man. That's how I've always read. Like, I've never really been like a Image fan. I just like Image because that's where Brian K. Vaughan, Jonathan Hickman, and like those guys put their books out, you know what I mean?
yeah, but without they didn't
Without
start
those
there
names,
though.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, some of them did.
Yeah, some of them, because Image now is huge, but they were a little more let's say open. Now they're a lot bigger. So, and let's be honest. I mean, the comics industry is going through a bit of a hangover from the pandemic surge, from the pandemic euphoria, where things were going crazy and books were selling like mad. Well, now the industry seems to be going through a bit of a hangover where publishers are kind of cutting back, slowing down. It's getting harder for people to pitch things to publishers to get these publishers to pick them up and print stuff. So, I mean, and a lot of people are turning to Kickstarter, and I think that's why there's an oversaturation on Kickstarter. And like I said, comics are a niche market. People may not like to hear that, but it's true. And there's only so many consumer dollars there, and there's a lot of people chasing after that same dollar. So,
Yeah.
if there's a creator you like, man, just keep supporting their stuff, or else you might see them disappear, because a lot of these guys have day jobs. They're not earning a living wage making these comics for us, so all the support you can give them, they appreciate it.
But yeah, want to get back into the fun stuff though?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So we haven't done a normal episode in a while, right? Where it's just you
this
and
is
me and just talking about books. So this is like our first official, like, kind of Halloween episode, right? Well, we did the other one with the movies, the Friday the 13th stuff, which was kind of fun. But yeah,
I think this is our first shout out on an actual episode of How Did We Get Here? I think all of our episodes
first check-in, yeah.
have
Well,
been,
anyway.
But yeah. You're very welcome, Pixelexia, dude. And I'm glad to have you at the show, you know what I mean? And contributing to the chat. It's always good to have engagement.
All right, so my first check-in book is Did you hear of Ed Gein? I've had this Ed Gein. This is Eric Powell. He adapted it with Harold Schuster. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm horrible at pronouncing.
Let me see it.
Schuster.
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 Schuster. Yeah. Anyway, so this is the story about Ed Gein, and I've had this on my shelf for about 2 years, and decided to finally pick it up and start reading. So I got in. I think I'm 4 chapters in, and so far it's been really good. The first intro talks about Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, and how the novel Psycho was kind of loose inspired by Ed Gein a little bit, part of it, and they go into like the history of Psycho, how Alfred Hitchcock actually remortgaged his house to fund the making of Psycho, because all the production companies and Hollywood were too afraid to put this movie out there because they thought it was too violent. Like, it was, I guess, pretty groundbreaking movie at the time. So it's pretty interesting. They get into details and cover an interview from
Ed Gein has that effect on horror, because like that also happened with Texas Chainsaw Massacre and a couple other things that have been based on his because I mean, well, kind of. I mean, they say that like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is based on him, but like all they really took from him was the stealing the bodies, but
and the skin,
yeah,
skin stuff. Yeah, but so far it's been really good. Beautiful book. I mean, anyone familiar with Eric Powell's work, who's worked on The Goon. What else has he done that's pretty known?
Hellbilly.
Yeah.
Hellbilly. What's the
But anyway, if you're familiar with his work, man, he fantastic artist, and he does a great job on this.
What was that one that you gave me about the little guy that goes around? Big Man Plans, right? Big Man.
Big Man. Yeah, Big Man. Yeah. Yeah, that one's pretty good. It's about a little person who has PTSD, and he comes back from the war, and he goes on. Something happens to him where he just flips a switch, and he goes on a killing spree to get revenge on all the people that, not just minor, like they treated him pretty bad, and he gets his in the end. So that's another good one by Eric Powell. Yeah. I picked this up and finished this in this week, the Neonomicon. We have another spooky episode coming up on the 30th, so Johnny and I will probably dig into this one a little more then. We'll save this one for then, but I finished reading that this week. That's the Alan Moore and Jason Burrows. Yeah.
It's
so
Jason.
I read that.
It's spelled with a C instead of an S.
Okay, yeah. And so I read that one. That one was well, Alan Moore. You know what Alan Moore puts in all his books, right? You know what he's known for. So if you know what he puts in his books, well, it's definitely, there's a lot of, it's graphic violence, graphic sex. I mean, it's all in there. So yeah. And I also watched a movie that's kind of related to what we're going to be talking about. The director of his latest movie, the director who did 30 Days of Night, Slade, what's his name? I forget the director's name, but it's called Dark Harvest.
Okay, he did that?
Yeah. Yeah, he's the same director who did 30 Days. Let's see, it's Slade something. 30 Days of Night. Yeah. Let's see, it's Slade. David Slade. Yeah, he did Dark Harvest. I just watched that yesterday, I think. And it's not bad. It's pretty good. I mean, it's a good Halloween movie, so yeah. What else? Oh, I got a new quote that cracked me up. As I've mentioned before, I finished watching You're the Worst, and there's one of the introductions to one of the episodes. They're laying in bed, and she wants him to taste his own semen. And there's a scene where she leaves, and she comes back, and he's tasting it. She's like, "What are you doing?" And he was tasting it without her there, like he was tasting his semen again. And she calls him a cum hungry, a cock guzzling jizz goblin. So that's my new favorite quote from Come guzzling jizz goblin. That's my new favorite quote from a show. So I cracked up pretty good on that one. Yeah. So, oh, and I also watched what's that Mike Flanagan show, the
Oh,
fall.
the House of Usher one.
Yeah, the fall of the House of Usher, which was pretty good. I'd rank that. Whew, not unlike Elle, would be in my top 3. Yeah. So it'd be Haunting of Hill House, Midnight Mass, and that one. Those are in my top 3 in any order.
So you're saying it's not as good as Midnight Mass?
No, I like Midnight Mass, unlike you did.
I might give it another go, man. Like, I'm in a different headspace than then.
Yeah.
I almost died since then. You know what I mean? I've calmed down a lot. Like, being ill. So.
Yeah. So what else did I? Oh, did you want to save it for when we talk about Steve Niles or the Lot 13?
What?
I read that as well. Lot 13.
Yeah, we'll talk about that probably.
Okay. When we get into. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Sounds good.
Check into.
Okay. Perfect. All right, man. I guess that sums it up for this week for my check-in.
All right. I got this. I got the first 2 issues of this. I picked it up. Hexagon Bridge by Richard Blake. It's pretty good. It's not like the most exciting book. It's kind of a really slow sci-fi thing. I think I like where it's going. Kind of a cool play on like the whole jacking into cyberspace future thing. Like, I don't even know if that's really what it is. It's kind of more like time jumping. It's very interesting. Like, I just kind of wish I would pick up like 2 issues in, and kind of feels like it's halfway through the first issue. But I'm going to keep going. Then I'm not going to say too much about this because we're going to be doing a hot flash with Cookie later this week with for Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. But all I got to say, man, is like, you should be reading this book. I mean, just look at that cover, the cute little bear dragging the bloody. I mean, and this book does not disappoint. It goddamn does it go pretty hard. Like, I'm impressed, and I think you'll really like it, Joe.
Everyone I've seen post about it that have read it have all had nothing but glowing reviews for it. So
it's got a kitschy gimmick, but goddamn, do they make it work for them? Using the cute animals for doing a true crime story that's pretty graphic. Yeah. I mean, it's a thriller. I wouldn't say it's horror. It's more of a thriller, kind of a Silence of the Lambs type thing. But like, they're working the gimmick very well, and we'll get more into that when we have Cookie and we do the whole episode.
Very cool.
Not even really sure why I picked this up. I don't usually like licensed books, but
I can tell you why.
Because of Jacob Rebelka's art?
Because you've been playing it recently too, so it's probably like, planted in your brain there. There's a little seed planted. So,
but I'm really happy I did. I really like this book. I really like the way it's going. It's kind of a story I wouldn't expect somebody to do a comic about. It's about one of the side gangs characters. The Maelstrom. They're basically like these cyber obsessed. And they'll kidnap people and like torture them and turn them into cyborgs because like they believe that that's the way like humans should evolve. And so like this guy, he's never known love, and like they're raiding this other gang, the Mox, which are like all these kind of like hot, foxy, Tarantino-esque chicks, and like so like they're like smoking him and stuff. And he runs across this one that's just trying to kick his ass so hard that like he falls in love with her, and like that's kind of where this one ends. So it's kind of like true romance, but with like organ smuggling cyborgs. I really dig it. And Jacob Rebelka's art, like, it's gorgeous, and he totally gets his Simon Bisley on in this book, and he does it better than a lot of other people, in my opinion. Yeah, because he does the multimedia. He'll have the spray paint along with oil paint and with marker and shit. I love that. We're going to talk about that later on.
New? Is that a trade or is it a single issue?
Single issue. Yeah, it's brand new. Came out this week. This was the most recommended book at the store. It was on like the shop owner's recommended little pedestal at the top. Yeah, I liked it, man. I don't know. I think that it's another one that has its kitschy gimmick, but it runs with it really well. And I like that it's not trying to be a horror book. It's kind of more of like a crime comedy that has ghosts and vampires in it. Also, I like the alternative history. I like that it takes place in the 90s, but like it's in a Florida that that takes America's only got 31 states, and Florida is actually owned by Spain in this. So everything's like kind of really off. It's kind of a fun little world that they've created with this, and the first issue was kind of its own little graphic novel. I think it was like almost 60 pages. So I always love when they do that, and got me invested. So I'm definitely going to keep checking that out. And then the last thing I have for my checkup, me and Joe are both going to talk a little bit about. It's going to be kind of like the honorary book that we're going to review, and that is
Yes.
Hack Slash Back to School by Zoe Thurgood. Like, this is something we've been waiting for a long time, and man, did it deliver. I am really, really happy with what she did with this book. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I like her. I like her stuff. I love her style. So yeah, man. I'm not familiar. Do they hint at her ever going to a school to train in this series? I don't remember seeing it anywhere.
No, no,
No.
he's kind of letting her do what she's doing, and I'm not even sure if this is retconning anything, because I
She sticks to it though, like the mother being
yeah,
like
she goes, because this takes place. This is kind of like Hack Slash Year One. This is
yeah,
right after Cassie meets Vlad. Basically, she's killed her mom, and that's kind of the only slasher that she's attacked besides besides saving Vlad from his circumstance.
yeah. Well, she tries to kill Vlad, but realizes he's not a slasher. So, and this is so this book kicks off after that event, right after Cassie tries to kill Vlad. So to apologize to him, she offers to take him out to lunch.
Yeah, she buys him a hamburger and all
Hamburger
the
and fries, yeah.
and it's such a cute scene too. I love the way she draws that one panel where like the fries are in his eyeball, and he's like, "Cassie gonna finish fries?" And she's like, "Nah, big guy, you can have them."
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. It's kind of, what would you say? It's kind of got a, because she meets the head mistress or whatever you want to call of the school, right? The slasher school, because of the event that happens at that diner where that bunny goes haywire, and she meets this lady who's like the head hunter, right? Slasher hunter, and
Yeah,
she invites her to come and train at this kind of slasher hunter school. So it's good. It's probably gonna have like,
kind of a
I
deadly
thought
class
Deadly
too.
Class. Yeah, exactly. That's one of the books I was gonna reference is Deadly Class. And what was the other book I was thinking of? Uh, but yeah, definitely because they have a uniform and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely gonna have like Deadly Class vibes to it, but probably more of a horror type angle to it, which will probably be cool because you already got a cast. You're introduced to the full cast almost right off in this issue, so of all the students that she meets right off the bat. So yeah, it was pretty good, man.
Yeah, and there's some pretty neat characters like the ghost cyborg dog. That's interesting. I hope they kind of expand on him. And I really like this shot when she's going down the hallway. Like, I like the kind of plug she did to her own book. Down, it's lonely.
Mm,
It's lonely at the cabin in the woods. I was like, that's funny.
mm,
It was a
yeah.
quick little-
Oh, the other book I was thinking of is maybe a little sprinkle of Umbrella Academy as well.
Okay,
Mm,
yeah, with
mm.
the outfits, I
Yeah, with the outfits and all that, like kind of at school, but like a weird school. Yeah, and I mean, it's. I think all the students are girls, right?
yeah,
It's an all-girls school.
yeah.
Yeah,
Playing off the final girl stereotype from like the
yeah.
80s classic slasher films. So yeah, they would be.
So this will be like a very girl power type book, like for all you. I don't know if you. I would stay away from maybe making comparisons to Buffy or Sabrina the Witch, stuff like that. I don't think, maybe a little more Buffy because they're actually out hunting stuff. So maybe a little bit of Buffy, but yeah.
And another thing to look out for with this series is next month, the B cover is
Mm,
done by our boy EPHK. So yeah, you're
EPHA.
gonna want to go snag one of those because I love the bunny back there. Like,
Mm,
I kind of wish that like he would do a hack slash book now, but we'll
mm.
see. We'll see. He's got a bright future. That kid. Like, I see
Yeah,
big things for him.
he's got things, big things in the works.
But yeah, that hack slash back to school just came out on Wednesday, man. If you haven't seen it yet or you haven't been to your LCS, man, I hope you can snag a copy because like it is a fun, really good first issue to have. Plus, I mean, like Zoe's just gonna blow up in my opinion.
Yeah, and that pug, I'm always a sucker for like a cute, adorable animal, and that pug is definitely the way she draws it with the X for a butthole. It's funny.
I didn't even notice that, man. You pay attention to the weirdest shit, dog.
Well, she posted it on Instagram, so she's like, "Oh, how should I draw the butthole?" And she's like, "I'll just do an X." So I looked for it when I was reading the book.
Oh snap! That is
Yeah, yeah. Because the pugs always have that little curly tail, so their buttholes are always like exposed. You know. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, seeing as how, and I like the way they kind of, because it's an all-girls school, and then Cass wants to. Because at first I was reading it and I'm like, oh, maybe she's not gonna have Vlad in this story. And then like she kind of convinced them to let Vlad come, but he has to stay in like the guest house or the pool house, off from the school, so he's not inside the school with the rest of the girls. But he looks like he'll be a part of the story going forward, which is cool because I love that character. Vlad's such a great adorable, like you know
he
it's hard
wants
not to it's hard not to warm up to Vlad because he's such a sympathetic character, right? So
he wants a matching uniform. I hope they give him one. Like,
oh, that'd be so funny, right? And he's too big for it, so it's all like tiny on him.
or yeah, with the shorts, they give him like a little Angus Young outfit.
Yeah, with the socks up high and the shorts like yeah, with a tie all kind of really short because he's so big, so the tie comes like yeah, that'd be cool for sure. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. All right. So yeah. So Zoe Thorogood. This is like her joint, right? She writes and draws this one, so it's all her. I don't know. Is there a colorist, or I think she does the colors as well.
Yeah, it looks like her other books. So
Yeah.
I
So
would
yeah,
think.
you'll pick it up if you're a fan of hack and slash. It's nice to have an actual hack and slash book out. I know Source Point Press did like a one shot a while back, but this is through Image, and is it a 5 issue series? How many issues is it? Do you remember?
Man, since it's an Image book, I'd say it would be 5 to 8 issues long.
5 to 8, yeah, yeah. So yeah, man, hack and slash. It was a fun first issue, so it's off to a great start, and a lot of new interesting characters will be incorporated into the mythos of the whole hack and slash universe. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well, I mean, like the mystery looks pretty good. Like the slasher in this is pretty gnarly. It it's kind of like I don't know that Dario Argento movie with the psychic girl, Phenomena with the
man.
killer kid. Like
Yeah.
that's just always gnarly. I think so.
Oh, we got our chickmunk faced friend in the chats.
Yeah,
Elle.
L the
Oh,
infected.
yeah, I hope she's feeling better.
Yeah,
Her cheeks are probably all super swollen.
looking like Marlon Brando. But I mean, I really like Zoe's gore. Like I think she
Yeah,
nailed it. Like
yeah, she's very familiar with it. I mean, if you followed her from her early days on Instagram, she did a lot of like Juni Ito like style drawings early on. Like she's drawn a lot of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So yeah, man.
well,
Fun
what,
book.
one of my
Fun
favorite
book.
things she does is like this fight where you see the different
Mm,
versions of Cassie. You see her as the scared girl, and you see her as like the wannabe badass warrior, and you see
mhm,
her seeing the monster as her mom. I love the way she does that. Like
mhm.
she also did that at Lonely in the Center of the Earth, and I love the way she kind of like has all these different versions of characters
Yeah.
and
How
draw.
she's fighting off the anxiety, right?
Yeah,
Kind of like her wanting to take that next. But this is great because in hack and slash, it starts off like bang, kicking ass, right? They go into the past and they have flashbacks. But I think this is probably going to explore a little more how she gets over those anxieties and becomes that badass we met right off the bat in the original series, right? This is going to be leading up to Cass developing into that badass slasher hunter killer. Yeah, so it'll be an interesting read, a fun story to see how she approaches it, and the steps on how she gets to becoming the ultimate slasher killer.
And I think it's really cool that Tim's letting her do this, letting creators just kind of run wild with his creation. And I think that she's going to deliver, because this first issue is probably the most fun I've had with Hack Slash since oh man, since probably before it became an ongoing series at DDP, even before it jumped to Image. So, but yeah, I'm really digging this, and the art is just great. It's really fun, a gorgeous book.
And it released just at the right time, middle of October. We're right in spooky season, so man, if you're looking for something to read that's fits the theme of Halloween and spooky season, this definitely fits the bill.
Right.
All right. So, any other check-ins, or was that was our closing out the check-in, right?
That's closing out the check-in. Do you want to get right into 30 Days a Night, or do you want to kind of talk about Lot 13 and the other Steve Niles stuff we read?
No, we could go into 30. We'll get right into it.
Okay.
And then we could because it'll be related. We could kind of get into that and then transition to some other works they've done.
Okay.
All right. So 30 Days of Night, originally published by IDW, Steve Niles writing, and Ben Templesmith is the artist on this.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking good, man. I like his work.
Well, I mean, this was a star maker. Like, this was meteoric when it hit. Like, this was like one of the first really big indie darlings. Like, I think it even predated Walking Dead, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember when this came out, because I am a huge Steve Niles fan, but like I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I heard of him before this book, and I definitely know I didn't know Ben Templesmith. And damn, did this book put them on the map, and for a good reason, man. Like, this book delivers. Like I said, I'm not the hugest fan of like vampire fiction, at least especially post like 1980s vampire stuff. But I mean, I think that 30 Days a Night is one of the coolest, most gnarliest things to pop up out of it. And like, these first 3 arcs are just glorious. And this first one, like, I love this book, man, and I kind of wish that the movie was a better adaptation. I'd say the movie's a good 70% accurate, but there are certain things that really piss me off. Like, I like Evan and Stella being a couple. I hate that in the movie they were like estranged.
Yeah.
That pisses me off, and that's so stereotypical. Whereas like in the comic, it's so cute at the beginning when they watch the sun set together, because it makes that ending so much more impactful.
Yeah.
And you don't kind of get that in the movie, because at the movie he's like, "Is she here? Will she even talk to me?" It's like, come on, Josh Hartnett. Like, you're Josh Hartnett. You don't have to worry about that, dog. Like,
yeah. Okay, so 30 Days did come out before Walking Dead, because 30 Days came out in 2002, and The Walking Dead came out in 2003.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
but it was like at that same time, like when that indie horror comic shit really hit, and like, and like those both just skyrocketed. But like, I thought I remembered 30 Days being first, and
yeah, I hadn't thought of that for the ending. Yeah, like where the book began and ended it on the same note. Yeah, where they watched the sun. They watched the sun. Well, at the end, they watched the sun rise together. In the beginning, they watched the sun down. That's true, eh? I didn't think of that. But I think all in all, the adaptation, like you said, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. There's definitely stuff, like you said, that maybe you could take. But I think that's the case for all adaptations. Some people like the changes. Some people don't. All in all, I think, the movie definitely...
It's one of my favorite comic book movies, man. I love the movie. I'm just saying that I kind of like the things they did in the book a little better. You know what I mean? I think the adaptation kind of went a little too hard into movie cliche territory.
Yeah. But, I thought they stayed... They didn't... It was like minor little changes as far as I'm concerned. There weren't any major, like, big changes. They stayed pretty accurate. Like you said, at least a good 70%, was
Yeah. Well, another thing is they had to fill the story out. So a lot of the stuff that would be you could nitpick would be like stuff they added, which I thought like a lot of it was fine. The thing that I liked about the movie is that they made them all speak that weird like vampire language, like
Yeah,
they had like
like
that.
in ancient language, like from the old vampires. Like, yeah, I
I
like
thought
that too.
there were like really amazing touches, you know what I mean? And like I love the way that they actually nailed Ben Templesmith's art style with like some of the dudes in the movie. They like legit look like shit he drew. So
Yeah, yeah, mm, mm, for sure.
looking like this
Mhm.
and shit. Rah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
Did
first
you have you watched that movie recently? Did you rewatch it recently, or
yeah.
yeah, yeah? I don't think we don't need to talk about Dark Days.
The movie is horrible. Like
It's
yeah,
bad, really bad. Like, like I was saying, like I was talking to Matt about this because we recorded an episode on it, and like I said, like what the first one did with Josh Hartnett and stuff. Most of the changes, either they stayed true, and a lot of the changes, like you said, kind of elevated from the book, like added to the book a little bit, right? Whereas the Dark Days movie, all the changes made it worse.
it
Like
slowed
didn't
it
add
down.
anything. Yeah,
It
it was
made it
bad.
it made it so boring. Like whereas Dark Day should have been like so exciting. Like the whole book is just action scene after action scene. Like that was made to be like a big budget. Like
Yeah, so the first volume takes place in Barrow, Alaska, where basically where the sun sets for 30 days. So you have 30 days of night, right? And like I found that I like just the concept itself for a vampire book is phenomenal. It's fantastic. Like you can't it becomes so hopeless, so that you have to go a month with these vampires where they can just free reign, like they don't have to go into hiding. And it's such a frightening kind of idea. It's genius, like the whole concept of it. So
and they're really good at setting up the atmosphere, man. Like Temple Smith's
mm.
art is magnificent for just
Oh yeah.
looking cold. I mean, you look at this and you oh man, you feel the Arctic, man. Like the
Mm.
blue city. Like I don't even know if you could call that blue. I'm not sure what that hue is, but like and it just conveys it and like it really makes you feel the isolation. That's why we'll get into it more when we talk about Darker Days, but like when he is drawing like this small town, and I think some of his best artwork ever is him drawing the town of Barrow, Alaska,
Mm.
because some of
or
like just the town shots that he does like
mm. or these barren, like kind of snowy scapes, right? Because I read Red Snow is like another volume that Ben Templesmith wrote and drew, and that one's fantastic as well. Like that's a great. That's the it takes place in 1941, like right at the beginning of the Second World War, and it's great. Like if you haven't read Red Snow yet, and you've read like the first three arcs that take place in Barrow, and you love Temple Smith's art, well, Red Snow, he just elevates his art. It's even better than those books. It's insane how he just stepped his game up. And I mean, it came out many years later, so he's had more work under his belt. So he's refined but he still keeps that Temple Smith look. Like it's unmistakable. It's him. And that one was another great one because that takes place in a snowscape as well. So mm, yeah. So Johnny, you got to go read that. That's a
yeah,
good one.
I'm definitely yeah. I
And
just
he
kind of
wrote the story for that one too. So Steve Niles, I mean, maybe he sent him emails and stuff. What do you think of this or that? But he wrote and drew that story. So yeah, it's a really good one.
I just read what I had. You know what I mean? I have like
Well,
the original
see,
trilogy and a couple one shots.
yeah. So what's great is I dug into whatever was free on Kindle, and they had a lot of 30 Days of Night that's included with the Kindle subscription. So I went and read Beyond Barrow. That's the one with Bill Sikowitz, whatever his name is.
Sienkiewicz.
Sienkiewicz. the legend himself did a story arc with Steve Niles. I read that one. That takes place on the outskirts of Barrow. What else did I read? Oh, and I read like the first 3 volumes of the IDW decided to go with an ongoing series, and I read the first 3 volumes of that were free on the Kindle subscription, so I read those ones as well.
Cool.
Yeah. But I couldn't find. They didn't have digital versions of the. Is it called Bloodlust? That's the 8-issue series that came out after, and they have another mini series that's Eben and Stella, and that one wasn't. I don't think they had that one available digitally either, which is kind of weird because that's kind of the story in between that main first part and the ongoing. So it'd be weird that, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to find stuff digitally.
Okay, so like it takes place kind of after the first trilogy.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I like that couple, man. Like that, they're probably one of my favorite comic book couples is Eben and Stella.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you've seen the movie and you haven't read the book, you'll enjoy the book regardless. I mean, you could have, if you've seen the movie and you haven't read the book, like it won't take anything away. Go pick it up, read it. You'll get, because like we said, there's some small changes. There's some things that are in the book that they cut from the movie just for, cinema. It's a different medium, so they cut some stuff out, just, which is normal, and it didn't take away. I mean, you still get the same story, so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, they cut out the part about the dude going and getting the footage, and then they also took out the part about Vicente getting mad at
Vicente, yeah. Vicente, the elder with the young one, and there's like that conflict of how they're trying to keep their vampires a secret from, so they're not hunted, or so they cut that part out. That's
I mean, it's cool. I thought some of the changes that they did like lended better as a film, because like I do understand that, like, dude, like adaptations have to change things, you know what I mean? And I thought for a film, like like I said, I think the movie's really strong, and I love the look of it. It just looks so dreadful the entire time. Like the atmosphere of the film is just great. Like everybody, like all the monsters are so gross. Ben Foster is probably the grossest, and he's not even like really a vampire yet. Yeah. So I highly recommend.
Great. Yeah, he's great in that one as well.
But so the book, it starts with Eben and Stella, and they're out, and they find a hole full of the cell phones, and they're talking about how everybody in town has reported their cell phones stolen, and somebody just like went through and took them all out of town and burnt them, and that's kind of the only way you could get a hold of people, and even that's kind of hard to do out where they're at, because they're way out in Alaska. Well, they're out where the sun sets for a month, so duh. But
yeah.
Well, that and meanwhile, you kind of learn about these people in New Orleans that know that vampires exist, and they kind of know that this attack on Barrow is going to happen. So this lady Judith, she sends her son up to try to get footage, because she knows that there's no way they could fight the vampires because there's going to be so many up there. So she just wants proof that they exist. So that's kind of a B plot that's taking place behind the main thing. But like most of the main story is the vampires converging on the town, and Eben and Stella finally slowly putting these clues together, because there's a stranger in town who wants to eat raw hamburger and drink whiskey, even though like that's not allowed after the sun goes down, because it'll make people even more crazy.
Yeah.
So, like this dude, like he's played by Ben Foster in the movie, and I'm not sure like who's creepier, like the movie version or the comic version, but like.
And that's another thing. The casting's pretty good, I found, for the movie compared to the book. I thought the casting was pretty good. So
I wish they had a better Stella. Like I kind of don't like the lady that plays Stella in the movie, but that's just
she was better than the Dark Days Stella.
Yeah, I would.
Anyway, yeah. Yeah, Ben Foster portrayed the role quite well from the book to the movies. So
like he's kind of like a Renfield type guy, a bug eater. He's not quite a vampire yet. He goes up there and like he's like spying, getting everything ready for the vampires to come up. But I really love this scene where like the sheriffs are just creeped out, and they don't mind just smoking him. You're like, Is he dead? Bam, 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 bam. He's dead now. Like,
Hmm.
it's funny because it's true.
That's where he bends the bars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And meanwhile, like you got the vampires, they are in town. They find like the communication station and they break it down. This is like the place where like the TV signals come in, and I think like radio channels get boosted, so like any kind of signals cut off now.
Hmm.
So like
So they're completely cut off from the outside world.
yeah, so Barrow's on its own, and it happens fast, man. The vampires just run in and just start, and I love this, like zooming across. They just get closer, and then,
Yeah. Oh
and,
yeah. I mean, it's great. Like just the silhouettes, like when they're far and you're like you're almost squinting as you're looking at the panels, trying to see. Yeah. Oh, and that's one thing I got to say. He can do fire, like
yeah.
the way he does the colors and how it glows. He does fire so well. Like in all his books that I've seen, like anytime he draws fire, it's fantastic.
So like it took them a while to believe what was actually happening, but like the town finally comes to terms that it's vampires tearing through them, and you got like some really cool vampire characters, like the creepy little girl, and like yeah,
Mm,
Ben's creepy little girl is particularly creepy because like the way he draws teeth. Um,
yeah.
but basically, Evan and Stella and a bunch of other people, like they found these basements under houses. They're actually like blast furnaces, I believe, or something like that, and like because it's cold, the vampires can't smell them, so they're hiding out there, and like they're kind of going out for supplies here and there, and but like their time's running out. They know it and stuff.
Yeah.
But
The little girl you're talking about,
yeah.
she's actually quite an old vampire because she's one of the main vampires in the story of Red Snow that takes place in
Oh,
1941.
they throw back.
Yeah, it's a throwback. Yeah, she's in it. She's one of the main vampires in that story. Yeah.
That's cool. I remember like she was that character was really popular when the book came out.
Hmm.
So like I bet you like it was because she was a fan favorite. But that's cool.
Yeah.
I like when
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed that story. Anyway, keep going. I just wanted to let people know that if you like that character, she's actually in the Red Snow trade. Yeah.
and like Eben, he's like out trying to get medicine and food and stuff. He gets kind of caught by like this one guy, and he blasts him. He kind of sees like how far they can take it, and he's kind of able to get away. And like they're hiding, but the thing is Marlowe, the guy who set this whole thing up, he was shooting outside of his weight range and stuff. He was trying to, and like the big shot Vicente, he comes to town and he's not down with this. He thinks that this is completely opposite of what they should be doing. He thinks that vampires should stay hidden because it's taken them centuries to become a myth, to become something that people, and like this will just throw him right out into the spotlight. So he's like, you know what? We're gonna finish what you guys started, you idiots, but like we're gonna make it look like an accident. And like they decide that they're gonna kill everybody, and they're gonna spread they're gonna break the oil derrick, and they're gonna let the oil flood the streets, and they're just gonna light it all on fire. And that's the
Mm.
original plan. But meanwhile, like I said, Judah sent her son up with a helicopter,
Mm.
or to get footage. He rents a
Yeah, footage.
helicopter. He rents a helicopter, so he's flying overhead, and like he basically kind of just gives the vampires the home run that they need to kind of play the stunt off. But Eben basically sees Vicente kill Marlowe and sees that the only way you can really kill a vampire is if you're a vampire yourself. At least that's his logic. So he like shoots himself up with some vampire blood, and like he becomes like the mega beast, and he goes and he fights Vicente, and it's pretty cool. And like we said, he's a vampire. He watches his son come up with Stella, and man, it's so depressing. I love this set of panels, man. Just the perfect way to end a book. God bless you, Ben Templesmith. Oh,
Mm.
that's like the gothiest thing ever. Like that
Yeah.
should be like on every goth kid's T-shirt for the till the end of time.
Yeah. And so then that's how Ish, the first volume, and this was you got to remember too, this was just a 3-issue miniseries, right? So
They told a lot of story, man. Like this book,
Mhm.
like it didn't feel rushed. You know what I mean? You feel like you get like it's paced really well. And like when I'm watching the movie, I'm like, I can see why they had to extend it and stuff. But like I never read the book and felt like it was
Yeah.
rushed or
And you
truncated.
see the movie, even the movie is like almost 2 hours long, but it didn't feel like 2 hours. So the pacing is pretty good because, I hate movies that run, like if you're going to go over an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes, you better make sure
Well, I mean,
that,
it's good because it's about people hiding too. You know what I mean? Like you can really drag that out, and like so it's a testament to your talent that you were able to like tell a story about people hiding and people in one location and make it so exciting and impactful and
yeah.
genre defining. Because like this book, like it shook the pillars of the comic book and horror world, man. Like it was a big deal. And then Twilight came out and ruined vampires again.
He actually directs, Slade actually directs one of the Twilight movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eclipse is it? I think. What's his name? Slade. David Slade. Let's see. In his thing, I saw it come up. He directs. Which one is it?
No hate on him, man. Get that back, dude.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're probably like, "Hey, you've done vampires before. Why don't you come direct one of the movies?" Which one was it? Oh, Eclipse. Yeah, it was Eclipse. He directed Eclipse. So
That's the second to last one, right?
I'd have to ask Pat. She's the Twilight expert. I know all the movies pretty good. I don't know which one is which, but I know them all pretty much by heart. I just don't know the names of them. They're all Twilight to me. So there's Eclipse and New Moon, right?
I don't know. Yeah,
And isn't in the last one? Didn't they do like, oh,
yeah, it's part one.
it's so popular? Yeah, they split it into two to try to
Yeah,
cash grab type thing. Yeah,
there was 5 of them in total, right?
yeah, something
Fourth
like
one,
that.
there was 2 parts to it, so it was like part 4, part 1, and part 4, part 2.
Mm-hmm.
I love when they do that.
Yeah, so
I think Twilight was one of the first ones to do that. I think they did that even before Harry Potter. So
yeah, possibly. Or it was right around the same. Well, Harry Potter had more movies, right? There was 6 in total for Harry Potter.
there was 7 books, and then they split the 7th movie into 2 parts. So like, yeah, there was 8 of them. Yeah, he was almost going up against the Fast and the Furious, man.
Well, now they put out the Dumbledore stuff there, the Fantastic Beasts or whatever.
We gotta stop talking about uncool stuff, man. Like, talk about
tonight, people love fucking Harry Potter.
I don't.
All right, so Volume 2 picks up. The whole thing is set in LA, so a change of scenery for this volume.
It's a year and a half later, yeah, and Stella a badass now. She got short blonde hair. She wrote a book. She got like $1 million. Like she put together like this badass elite vampire hunting crew. Like they're tearing shit up. They made their own special little hand mines, is what they're called. Like these ninja star grenades. They're gangster. She knows how to kill vampires now. She ain't fucking around. She got short hair.
Yeah, she wants her revenge.
And I love this arc. It's probably the weakest of the 3. It's definitely got Ben's I'm not gonna say his weakest work, but like it doesn't have the charm and the warmth as the other books. Like it's funny. Like there's no cool drawings of the city. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, and it also kind of I don't know. I love just like the actionness of this movie. It is so it's such an action film, down to sexy vampire boy. What's his name? Dane, yeah, with his little crustache, looking like Eric Balfour. Like he does got a little crustache. Man.
He does, yeah. It just makes me laugh when you say that. Gross.
But yeah, it's cool. Like Stella's got a plan. She wants to flush the vampires out, so she wrote a book called 30 Days a Night, all about like how Barrow, what really happened there. she goes on a book tour, like it's to call the vampires out. She wants them to like show themselves, so she's like inviting the press, and like she's got all her vampire hunters ready. She's got like the UV lights set up, and she calls them out like right there on this stage. And I love the way he draws this scene though, like the silhouettes popping up and her hitting the lights, and then yeah, this is where you meet Dane, sexy vampire boy. Uh, I actually really like the character though, man. Like
I like Dane as well. He was a good addition. He's a like a vampire that proves that not all vampires are just ruthless eating machines, killing machines. So
and they play him pretty well because they show him at the beginning when he shows up at the book thing. You think he's menacing and like he's kind of stalking her throughout like most of the rest of the opening of the book. So like they play him off like you think he's supposed to be malevolent and like
and even right to the end, you're not sure if he's just playing her or not. Like, so they keep that mystery kind of going right till the end.
Well, because yeah, it's not too far after this we find out that like he's responsible for he has his homegirl fly up to Barrow and mess with Eben's grave. And like we'll find out why that happens, but like yeah, so like you even find out that like he's kind of messing with Stella in a manner, but the way it all comes to fruition, we'll get around to it when it gets to that part of the story. But yeah, she called him out at the book show, and like they caught some vampires on fire. I don't think they actually killed any of them, but they get arrested, and like it hits the news, but like it's just kind of played off as she started a riot at the book show. And also she found out that her publisher is selling her book as fiction, even though they promised her it would be nonfiction. So she's a little bummed out. She thinks that they're going to cancel her book tour, so she's just going to kind of try to go all out while she's in LA. And also Judith from New Orleans, she got the vampire footage. She decides to go out to LA to meet with Stella, give her the footage because she thinks Stella's being a gangster. So they start hanging out, and like they go on a walk and stuff. They're hanging out, and like Stella's showing Deborah how big of a badass she's become. She's like, see, I know vampires are hanging out right now, man. Like this guy's watching me. He's being a creep. So like I'm just gonna flip him off.
Yeah, and then we're introduced to Lilith as well.
Yeah, Lilith. She's Vicente's wife, and she wants revenge for Vicente getting killed by Eben. So she wants to.
So it's a double revenge story.
So yeah.
Because you have Stella who wants revenge for coming to Barrow and basically leading to Eben's death, and then you have Lilith that wants revenge for Vicente's death. So you got the two spiteful women going up against each other.
We also get introduced to a pretty cool character. He's more relevant in the third book, but like we get introduced to him here, Agent Norris. He's pretty cool. He's probably my favorite villain in the whole book. He nasty. At this point, he's just a bug eater. He's working for vampires, but he's not one yet. Yeah, he ends up killing Judith. It's sad.
Judith was.
I kind of that was one of the things that I will call out. Like I kind of wish they did a little more with her character because they built her up like she was going to do something.
Like she was going to be a big player, right? Like I got the impression like from the first volume into this one, like she was going to be a big player, like, and she becomes a very minor part of the story in the end.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of my gripes with the whole book too. Like it's a nitpick, but like I kind of pissed me off or kind of made me a little. I thought she was going to be a bigger part, and they kind of just smoke her. But like it does introduce Agent Norris as a scumbag, which. Kind of plays really well because like he is pretty integral in the third book.
Yeah. Which leads to Dane and Stella teaming up, right? And how that comes about is related to the grave.
Yeah, basically like when she's walking around with Judith before Judith gets smoked, Dane runs into her again. Oh, she calls him out because she knows he's following her still, and like he shows up and she beats his ass, dude. She blows him up and she's going to smoke him. But like he starts telling her about how like there's a vampire myth that like if you do some kind of blood ritual with the vampire's remains, like they could come back and they'll be like immortal this time.
And how he kind of cons her because what he had the girl go do was dig up his ashes, right?
Right.
So he holds Eben's ashes as ransoms, so Stella will cooperate or team up with him to kind of take down Lilith, like to become a team. So they team up mainly through blackmail. Yeah.
And while this is happening, like slowly but surely, her team of badass vampire hunters, they're actually not that badass. They all get turned one by one, basically. There's a pretty cool car chase with Agent Norris. Like they run over hit, they kind of crush him. He's like driving a little car, and they got a Humvee. They squish him, but like, um, I don't know how he survives that, but like he's back in the third book.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a bug eater, like you said, so he's not quite a vampire yet. So, yeah.
But yeah, they're hanging out. Hot guy Blaine, he does this. He works his magic. Him and Stella, they smash, man. You know what's going on. Like, come here, like, and like that's it gets kind of 80 cheesy, but I loved it. I thought that was really great. I thought that was funny. Um, and then after that happens, like her last two homies, they show up. They're vampires now, and they attack her. And they
Last
basically
couple hunters.
they basically are there to tell her a message. Or they tell her that Lilith wants to meet her, and like they want to throw down. So like her and Blaine, Dane,
Dane. Sorry,
Dane,
Dane. Dane.
Dane. Like they go on a trip. They go through like go through Hollywood and stuff. They end up in a cemetery. They got a pretty rad fight with zombies. I thought was pretty fun. And they get up to this haunted house where Lilith wants to meet, and it's pretty cool. They have a trade. Like basically, like Stella shows up. She's got like all of her like little hand mines on her, and she's like, "I'll just nuke everybody if you fuck around." So they have an amicable trade. Like she gives
yeah.
She gives Lilith the DVD with the footage, and she gets Eben's ashes. And you know, Stella's a gangster. Somehow she accidentally loses her jacket in the haunted house, and kaboom! And like no more Lilith. And you know, sexy boy Dane, he shows up. He tells her like, you know, that thing with your boyfriend, your husband, it's just a myth. You could come with me and we could be sexy together forever. And she's like, "Oh, I got my husband's ashes. I'm cool. I'm gonna go try this thing." So like, he takes off. You know, he's like he's sexy, so he's gonna be fine. And we get a really cool scene of her, and like it works, man. She brings Eben back, but
yeah, and that leads to the last panel splash page of Volume 2, the resurrection of Eben. Yeah. And that's how it finishes.
Yes. But like it's cool because like she's willing to bring him back. Like she was down. Like we gotta put that message out there. The reason why she was down to kill Eben, let Eben die in the first book, because she thought that vampires were just mindless killing machines. But after she met Dane, she sees that vampires can be sexy and they don't have to kill. So she's like, okay, I could bring Eben back and he could be like that. So that's her plan, and let's hope it works out for her. Yeah, let's hope
it works out for her. Yeah, just be like Dane. So then, boom, Volume 3, Return to Barrow.
Right. And this one, I mean, I actually think that this is probably like some of Steve Niles' strongest writing. Like this arc is magnificent. It's a little slower than Darker Days. I think even slower than the first one because it really builds up the new main character and his son and their relationship. And I really like that because he is tied to Barrow, but he wasn't there originally. His brother was one of
his brother.
And like he's moved up there to try to find out what happened to him. And like basically right off the bat, like his deputy's kind of not trying to answer him, but he runs into this trapper.
Being very elusive when he's asking questions. Yeah.
So he runs into this trapper named Icos, right? And he's more willing to tell him what happened. He's like, "Deputy, get out here and give him the journal, man. He needs to find out because it's going to be dark in 4 days, and we got to know if this guy's going to chicken out or if he's going to muster up."
Like the last sheriff.
Yeah, because the last
got out of town. Yeah.
Well, that's what they think. That's what they hope. But like most people think that he got caught by the stragglers because
He got.
I guess after the first book, after Vicente died, like not all of the vampires got out of Barrow. Some of them are still like hanging out around town, picking
Yeah.
people off. Plus, after Stella's book, they're a little pissed. So some of them are still like looking for revenge on the town because even though the vampires went there, fucked around and found out, they blame Evan and the humans on their woes. Like, oh
Yeah.
man, look at how awful these people are. They killed us when we were just
And
trying to eat them.
and what brings egos to like want to tell him right away is that he picked up a couple vampires out in the frozen
Outskirts.
wastelands. Yeah, he picked up a couple. He's like he needs to know is because it's coming, right? The vampires are coming. So and how they go about that. This is the part that is pretty cool. Is well, there's two kind of things going on here because he's allocated Eben and Stella's house, right? Him and his son.
Yeah,
They give them their house. So then, while he's over here, his son's at the house by himself, rummaging through the attic and finding an old picture of Eben and Stella, and that's how they reveal it's their house. And then how they reveal to him what's going on in Barrow is they give him a letter or the diary of his brother.
Yeah, his brother's diary.
His brother's diary. So he goes out and reads this diary, and it explains it like really well what happened, and you know, yeah. And I think in that story, it's his brother very sadly had to
It was the only
kill his family, then himself, so that they wouldn't be turned. Yeah. Yeah, and it goes day by day, like, oh, this, we're hiding, running out of food, and then to the conclusion of the mercy killing and suicide of his family.
And it did it pretty effectively in like a 3-page little breakdown with with the little journal entries on the paper and some and like I said, man, like it's really effective. It's like I said, it's kind of some of his strongest writing, in my opinion, at least.
And I love that whole section because he and Iko's kind of butt heads in the beginning when they first meet. You know, that kind of like who's in charge? Yeah, the two alphas. But then they go to like after he's done reading the letter, right? Doesn't he look up and he sees a silhouette far off in the distance, right? Right after he's done reading it.
Yeah, and they literally get attacked by
Yeah, and for some reason Ecos is following him around, so he's there, and then they bond instantly. Like, yeah, we're gonna have to take care of this.
Well,
but he gives them the option. Yeah, he gives them an option first. Yeah,
he's like, you got 2 days to catch that last flight out of here, and like literally, he goes and tells his kid because he goes home and his kid's like, hey, I found this stuff in the attic. The lady that lives here wrote this book, and he's like, well, yeah, I wanted to tell you about that. I think it's kind of bull hockey, and the kid's like, I don't know, Dad. This town's pretty messed up, and he's like, you're right. You want to get out of here, don't you? And the kid's like, can we? And like they try.
But he lets his son decide. If you want to stay, we'll stay. If you want to go, we'll go. And his son decides, let's go. So he's like, all right, we'll catch the plane out of here.
But they get stuck anyways, which
obviously, yeah.
But it's cool, man. Like man, I forget his name, but like he's a gangster, man. He's a pretty good introduced in the third book, new main character that.
What's the family name? Nickus or something like that, or something like that. But anyway, they turn out to be a pretty badass character. The new sheriff.
Yeah, because after that, like it doesn't take too long for the vampires to show up, and this time, like.
But one thing I love, like after he finds out what's going on, then they explain everything, right? Like now, Barrow, they're prepared. All the townspeople, they're armed to the teeth. Like, now that the sheriff knows, now everyone can be completely transparent about what's going on. And then you realize this town now is prepared for invasions of vampires. They got watchtowers. The town's fenced off. Like, now they're ready for a fight. They're not going to be taken by surprise, which I thought was great, too. Like, yeah.
UV lights set up. Yeah, they had the whole thing. They have 50 cal guns and... But
Then they after that all is set up. Then the vampires show up unknowing that the town is so prepared this time, right? Because the first time they show up, they fight them off, and they have to retreat to regather, recompose, and to come back.
Well, because
So, but
when the vampires first attack, they show up with machine guns. Like they have guns themselves, and they think that that's enough to scare the humans and stuff. And it kind of works at first, but like the sheriff, he shows up after securing his son, and like he mans the 50 cal, and he's like, "It looked like you needed a hand," which is like such a I love that panel so much. I wish I could have shown it, but ran out of space. But and yeah, they chase off the vampires for the first attack, and that's when FBI agent what's his name? I was talking about him all in the last
Norris.
Norris,
Norris? Yeah.
shows up, and like he's finally fully a vampire, and like basically he teams up with the crackhead that was hanging out with Judith, that kind of like gave Judith information, and they go up to Barrow basically because they're hearing the voices, plus they want to try to challenge for leadership, I believe, is like what Norris has said. Like the whole thing was he wants to. So
yeah, he's got his own plans, right? He wants to climb that ladder.
So like basically all the vampires, they're pissed off about both Lilith and Vicente getting killed. So like their plan is just to kill Barrow. They don't care, man. They just want to wipe it off the map this time, and like prove that they're the alphas. So that's the big plan, and like they're invading, but
while they're reorganizing and regrouping, Dane shows up. He comes into the picture with the group of vampires there, and he has a little run in with Norris. He and Norris don't see quite eye to eye.
Yeah. And meanwhile, something else is kind of picking off vampires here and there that you kind of see in the darkness too. Kind of killed the two guys that Dane showed up with.
Yeah, because there's a vampire that gets the upper hand on someone, and something happens where that person gets saved, and you kind of see it off panel. You don't know what happens, but all you know is that vampire got taken out and saved that person.
So it's leading to that, and basically the vampires kind of get into town, and they want to get to Stella and Eben's house and torch it, just because what it'll mean
symbolically,
and the little kid's in the basement, and like the dad, he just like knows he needs to get home, so he's running, man, and like there's quite a few vampires in the house, and he gets to the house, and like all the vampires are just torn up, man. It's brutal, and the little kid's just standing there like, "Dad, the lady from the picture saved us." And he's like, "What picture?" "The lady in the picture in the attic, the one that wrote the book." So you get like this really kind of cool turnaround, and like and he like sees something, and he's kind of startled, but you switch back to the battle, and basically like
the vampires slowly start getting the upper hand on the whole crew, and it's just there's that one panel where they're lined up and they're all shooting, and like I was saying, how Ben Templesmith draws fire, and just like you see their faces, and then like just the machine gun fire everywhere. That panel is so awesome. Fuck. It's great. It's great. And I think there's one pretty cool explosion in it too. I mean, he's great when he draws fire. Especially with the dark backdrop and everything. It just comes right off the page, right? It's awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, this one kind of starts off a little slower, but like when it gets to the battle, man, like it's intense. It's a page turner. It's a white knuckle ride, and it's a lot of fun. Like kind of a whole 300 Spartans type thing going on.
Yeah. So yeah, the vampires get the upper hand, and are we doing full spoilers here, or
might as well?
Yeah. So it comes to find out they start to get overwhelmed by the vampires, and all of a sudden the new sheriff in town's about to get got, and he gets saved by Stella and Eben. So they come back to protect Barrow from all the vampires. So they become like guardian angels of the town.
She was able to pull it off, man. They're gonna be sexy and good vampires.
Yeah,
but they're gonna save the town. They said that they're always gonna be watching, kind of.
Yeah. So you see and that's a nice thing too. They don't really talk to the people. You just see them off in the woods standing, and
it has probably some of Ben's best work at the time. You know what I mean? Like he's definitely, like you said, really progressed over the years. But like I said, man, like he really works that multimedia style, like I talked about. I love
Yeah,
the way he mixes paint with marker, and like
and
he'll
all the like also like the textures, right? All his work is all done on like a textured, so the backgrounds are all textured and everything, so it's very rich. Like
yeah.
even though there's nothing, like there's a lot of black, a lot of emptiness, it's still busy because of all the textures in it and stuff. It's very rich, you know. So yeah, I love it.
I mean, you got to really. It doesn't really pop out like on the small screen, but like if when you look at it, like you see what you mean. Like I love the way he works, man. Like it's just so much to it. Like I know he like some people would say he's got a simple style, but like there is a lot to it. Like I'm impressed by what he's able to pull off. And to tell you the truth, when I first saw his work, I kind of wasn't a fan. You know, he it grew on me, but like I've learned to just be impressed by it. Like
But it fits like the Barrow story. His style fits so well with that backdrop, right? It's fantastic. I mean,
yeah, like just the way he draws the town. Like I love this. Like zooming in with it on fire. This is from the first book when the vampires are trying to burn it down. And like I said, man, like you feel cold looking at these pictures. Like he nails like the atmosphere that he's going for. Like he is really talented for what he does.
an Australian illustrator from out of Perth, Ben Templesmith.
As he's
Uh,
Australian. Okay.
yeah, yeah, he's works. He's from Perth, Australia. Yeah,
Well, I know he
that's
got
where
I know he got famous out of UK, so that's where I thought he was from. But
yeah,
okay, that makes sense
yeah,
though.
yeah. So after reading this, I was like, okay. So then I went on and I saw Kindle had a bunch of like a ton of their the series for free. So then I saw that I was going through to see, and I was like, oh, so he got McCormack, the horror writer. He teamed up with her for a few things, but then the ongoing series they got Sam Keith on as art. Ben Templesmith wasn't there for the ongoing series, so I was like, Sam Keith, yeah. I was like, I was looking forward to see like his take and what he brings like visually into the aesthetic, and I was so disappointed. That first volume that Sam Keith drew, wow, he mailed it in big time. Like the close-up panels were Sam Keith, you know, the close-up panels he put time into and they look great, but the rest, the smaller panels, oh, it's I was so disappointed with Sam's work on that first volume.
Yeah, because like he figured like it was he could take it easy because of he thought that it's kind of sad, a little disrespectful to Ben in my opinion, but whatever. Sam Keith's a gangster. I ain't mad at him.
No, that's why I was so excited, like because I'm a fan of his work, right? I've seen a lot of his work and it's fantastic, and this was a little disappointing, right? But then they got another artist to come on. They had one fill-in guy who did issue 5, and then the regular artist for the rest of the series was Christopher Mitten. And I enjoyed his style. It was pretty cool, kind of reminiscent a little bit of a uh, uh, who could I compare him to? Anyway, more of a very graphic style, like solid line. His line works really good, and what is it, I can't remember his name. The one who did Metropolis, is that it, or Metropole? What's that guy's name?
Ed McKeever.
Yeah, yeah, it's got that kind of style to it. A
Okay.
little bit.
Oh, I know
Yeah,
this guy. He does
yeah,
voice stuff. Yeah, no, he's
yeah. He's good. I mean, it's a total different style from Ben's work, but it fit. It did really well. And then you get a lot of the ongoing series. They touch a lot of FBI stuff, like the FBI. I don't know if they're going for like an X-Files kind of thing or not, but there's a lot of like more accented on the FBI against vampires. And then all of a sudden, they touch on the Eben and Stella comes back into the story, and they take a huge twist with the Eben and Stella characters, like really big twist on that part of the story.
good.
And it depends. I mean, Some people may liked it, and I think a lot of people probably didn't like it. So I don't know. It depends on the individual because he becomes heel, right? They turn Eben heel. So like they pull the wrestling type thing where the good guy becomes the heel. So anyway,
It depends on how they do it. Like,
yeah.
that's vampire comic stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
I
sad.
mean,
It's sad that they did something so predictable. But
yeah.
whatever.
Like, oh, this story, how can we shake things up, right? So, oh, let's take the hero and make him a bad guy now. Like,
That's kind of how I am with these really cool like horror miniseries that pop off. By the time they get to the ongoing, usually I've tuned out.
yeah. But the art, like when Christopher Mitten got on, his art's really good. It's a fun read just for the visuals, like his art style. So it's pretty fun, and they introduce more lore, like the ancient ones or the older vampires. You know, they bring that in, and it deals a lot with the newer age vampires and the older vampires, and like the power dynamics between the two, and like the hierarchy and stuff. It dives into that a little bit more. Yeah. And then I went and read probably my second favorite, The Red Snow. That's the one that's written and drawn by Ben Templesmith, and woo, the art in that is fantastic. I love it. It's so good. Like, if you thought his work was good on the original series, like the first that first three arcs, that kind of the first original part, the three miniseries, this is right up there. Like,
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
no, dude, Ben Templesmith's only gotten better. Like I loved his art when he first started as with 30 Days a Night, or when I first saw it. But like he has got his art has just gotten so much more vivid. Like his character work, his face work has gotten just so much tighter. Like he is.
and I highly recommend that one, Red Snow. That one's free with a Kindle subscription as well. So if you're fans of this 30 Days of Night and you haven't read that one yet, definitely go read that one. I highly recommend that one. That one was a fun read. And like I said, the little girl makes she's one of the main vampires in the story. So yeah, so that one was really fun. Takes place during the beginning of the First World War. So that one was fun. So you have Nazis, Russians. It's the First World War, where you have these little outposts and patrols of like Russians and Germans fighting out in the freezing, barren landscapes and the struggles there. And then the vampires show up, start taking both sides out. It was really fun. It was a good read.
Right
And
on.
then I read the other one was Beyond Barrel, like I mentioned before with Bill. That one was okay. I mean, that one's free as well with a Kindle subscription. So if you guys have Kindle and you want to read it, not Bill's best work, but it's still very good, and the story's okay. It kind of, I think Steve was trying to expand on the mythology because they introduce a new type of vampire in it that's based on I think Inuit folklore, right? So that's kind of interesting, but he didn't full on explore it. Like they quickly explain it, and then the story's done. So I don't know if they explored that more in other miniseries or in the ongoing, but that's it was it was good. Like it definitely has some bright moments with the art from Bill and stuff, but yeah, it was a fun read. So it was fun to dive in a little deeper into the different stories that have come out of this from this franchise. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. Man, Steve Niles is just quality, man. Like most of the time, like I just can just sit back and enjoy the shit out of his work. Like it's just good, fun, enjoyable horror. It's got that really nostalgic kitsch to it. But like one of my favorite things is like he will write a book and you'll kind of like feel like you've read this before, and all of a sudden he'll take a big right hand turn, like in Lot 13. We'll talk about
Yeah,
that.
Lot 13. Yeah,
The dad's journey in that, like man, like you're reading a book and you're like, man, I've seen this 1,000 times before. The family in the haunted house that wants to use, and but like then they kill, then that what happens to the dad happens, and like it
oof,
just
yeah, that's brutal. This basically it's a haunted house story, but it's very gory. Like there's a lot of gore in this. So if you like, you're a gore hound, and like that's another great Lot 13. If you're looking for something to read during the spooky season, go pick up Lot 13. You can get it digitally off Kindle for super cheap. I think the trade is like what, $5, $4, something like that Canadian. So maybe $2.99, $3 US. So I mean, it's a cheap purchase. It's a 5 issues mini series. So yeah, originally it was released by DC.
DC Comics, yeah, it came out as like just a regular DC monthly title, like a 6 issue thing. I remember when and like they didn't push it at all, but like I remember I got it when it came out because it was Glenn Fabry and
Yeah,
Niles,
yeah,
and I remember getting it, and I'm like, it's pretty brutal. Like the subject matter of the horror in it and the gore is just so brutal, but the stuff with the family is just so like 80s sitcom. It's almost like the Bundys.
yeah, yeah,
The Bundys get haunted. But
yeah.
so like it's got this weird tone to it, but god damn does this book look good. Like Glenn
Yeah.
Fabry doing interiors and
It was. I think it was by Dan Brown as the colorist, though. So I think Fabry did the line work and maybe the shading, and then the other guy came in and did the colors.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I think Glenn Fabry mostly paints, right?
Paint. Yeah, when he does, like I think it's painting. Yeah.
Yeah, because like all
But
the
it's still it looks fantastic. It's a good looking.
it still looks like his work.
Mm-hmm.
And the dad, man, was I the only one that saw Willem Dafoe? The way that Glenn Fabry drew him, like
The dad?
Yeah, hella looked like Willem Dafoe.
There was one panel that I looked at it and I thought it looked like someone, but not Willem. Anyway,
Like when he's coming down the stair with the keys, and he's just like, "I got everybody their own apartment for the night."
Yeah,
Just like I could hella hear that in Willem Dafoe's voice.
Yeah. No, it's definitely yeah. It was good. I mean, it's a pretty quick read, like, but it's pretty fast. Like they don't. The lead up to it is pretty quick, and they don't beat around the bush. Like things happen, and they start to happen quickly. So once you get into it, it's nonstop. Like you don't have time to breathe. Like there's no resting. You don't have time to take your breath. Right? It's nonstop. Once it gets going, then it's like almost nonstop all the way to the end.
And it's cool because they throw in like these neat little twists that like make me wonder when like the actual spooky stuff started, because like right from the beginning of the book you kind of see it, because like it's the family packing and the dad's like going around trying to get all the kids to
with the son, and then you see the
you
he's
see
talking.
You see
He thinks he's talking, yeah, to a kid,
and it's
the like
it's the one boy from the house though.
Yeah. Then the phone, where the daughter's trying to load a picture, and it's like all of them with skeleton faces, like skull faces. So there's little like, so it happens even before they leave. It starts a little bit, yeah. Like you're saying, there's hints at it. So that's why I wasn't sure if it was going to happen in that house, in the new house, or how they're connected to them. But supposedly in the story, it takes place of the bloodletting on the land, right? Lot 13.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's just a secluded place that draws people to it, and when they're there, they don't make it out. Let's just say that. And these people, they're moving to their new house that they've been saving up for all their lives to get to, and it's a big moment. Like their daughter, she doesn't want to move because she's going to miss her boyfriend in his Crass T-shirt, which I love seeing in a DC comic, by the way. Like that cracked me up. I'm like, of all the band's logos, they're Crass. That's so gangster, Glenn Fabry. But yeah, and then you got the son who's kind of ambivalent, and the daughter who's just like whatever. I guess they didn't have friends in the old city, so like they're down to move. But they get to the new house, and it's being fumigated. Like it's got the circus tint over it. So they're not able to move in just yet, and so like
they have to look for a motel.
And like there's like this really ominous scene where like they run over a kid.
Yeah.
Before they find this weird kind of old apartment building that says like you can rent by whatever. It's like, forget the price, but like you can rent by the hour, day, month, week, and it's all listed on this sign. And it's just this ominous like brick building that looks like it's been there forever, but it's just standing in like this deserted
middle of like nowhere. Yeah.
And like being the brilliant man that he is, the dad decides like he's gonna go and check to see how much it costs to stay there. Because like I don't think they have too much money. They don't like go too far into it because like the family's just throwing one liners around constantly. Like I said, they're like out of an '80s sitcom. So like he goes in and he's able to get them all their own rooms for the night. And like you said, right away, like after this happens, that's when the scary stuff really starts. Like right away, the little boy sees like the little hunchback kid, and like there's blood drawings on the wall, and you see the guy with the shotgun blast off his face, and
Yeah, yeah. And like you said, like the where he gets everyone their own room because he was able to get like a 2-for-1 deal or something. So that he's like winks at his wife, we get our own room for a night, you know. And then, yeah. So there's definitely those quirky little funny one-liners, or like like you said. So, yeah. But it's really good, man. Like if you're looking for something to read for the holidays, but the trade was released by Dark Horse though. The floppies were released by DC, but the trade was released by Dark Horse.
yeah, like DC kind of pushed it out, like right before New 52 happened.
Hmm.
And then like they dropped it. Like I don't think they ever did a trade, and like I think it just kind of was floating around out there until Dark Horse picked it up and like yeah re-released it like they're prone to do, and for good reason. Like it's a really fun book, and like it goes a really different direction with the haunted house and the family stuck there. It kind of delves more into like movies like the movie House from the '80s. Like it kind of reminds me more of that, but like it's even more gory and more messed up because like
Yeah.
the metaphysical nature of the haunting, and just
Oh
like
yeah,
the way that they're able to go back in time and kind of mess with their own deaths and stuff. Like it gets weird, and I really like the way where Steve takes it. Like I was saying, like you were kind of like, man, I've seen this story like so many times before. What do you? And then like all of a sudden he pulls that right turn with the dad, and I'm just like, I didn't see that coming, sir. Way to go! You have me
yeah,
hooked.
yeah. And the treat you get to see. You don't get Glenn Fabry doing interiors too often, so that right there alone is worth picking it up because, I mean, he's mainly known for covers, right? So
That's all I know him for. I think this is like maybe the only American comic that he's done
yeah,
interiors for.
yeah, yeah. So it's definitely, like I said, it's a cheap digital buy. I don't know if it's easy to pick up physically, but you can definitely find it digitally on Kindle
Oh
or
man,
whatever.
Steve Niles is full of books like that. Man, there's Wake the Dead, Mystery Society.
Mm.
Man, he's even written some good Batman stuff. Man, Gotham City Lights is so good. That's Batman fighting vampires. Of course, that was like kind of Steve Niles' thing for a while. There's The Secret Skull, Criminal Macabre, which is like my personal favorite work of his, the Cal McDonald mystery stuff. Like, oh, dude, like
And
Steve is so good. Oh, and like his newest book, he did they put out a second arc for Savage Days, Savage Nights from TKO,
mm,
like his Sin City Wolfman comic, which is really fun. But aside from that, like because you brought it up, I bust out my copy of Freaks of the Heartland, and dude, I was wrong about that. That is a fucking good book. I think it's actually better than Lot 13. Like, I should have told you to read it because like not only is the art gorgeous, but like the story,
oh,
it's
I'm still gonna read it. I'm still gonna read it. I could only fit one of the two in, so that's why I was asking you which one. Yeah,
it's kind of Steve's most heartwarming book. Like, it's still fucked up. It's brutal as hell, but like it's kind of his ET or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah. Because that one's pretty cheap to buy too. So I think that's what, like $5 Canadian as well to get the trade. So yeah. So I mean, those are like bargain buys for me, really. Like
And they're really good
normally,
spooky season reads, man, for
yeah.
Halloween.
So,
Let's see, Winnebago Graveyard. That's another really good Steve Niles book that you can probably get for really cheap.
uh,
Disciples.
what else? Templesmith. I'd read a while back was the Gotham at Midnight that Templesmith did. He drew that one. That one was pretty cool. That's the Supernatural Batman book. That's what's his name? Corrigan is the detective that turns into the Spectre,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's from his point of view. He has a team, and they deal with like supernatural stuff in Gotham. So I think that's a two trade story That one was pretty cool. I think that's the first Templesmith stuff I would kind of was exposed to, and I dug his style in that. It was pretty cool. Mm.
He's done some pretty cool stuff. Like I think the last thing I saw him do, he did a book called Fish Gill for heavy
Okay.
metal, written by Dan Fogler.
Okay.
You know who that is, right? He played Randy Daytona in Balls of Fury. He was in
Okay.
Big Fanboys, that little hairy dude.
Okay.
He like wrote a bunch of books for heavy metal. He did what was
Oh yes,
Simon
yes. I
Bisley.
remember he did one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For heavy metal. Yeah, he did a couple books, right?
Yeah, he did what was that one was set American Gladiator? Yeah, with
Okay.
Simon Bisley. He did Fish Gill with Ben Templesmith, and like yeah, he did like
During,
Blood Moon, I think was the other one, or Blood Lake or something
during
like
the pandemic, yeah, he did one that came out during the pandemic. Yeah, for heavy metal as well. I don't remember. I think that might have been the Blood Lake one. That was his last one.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they were pretty good. I dug them, so yeah, if you can find those, check them out. And like his work just got tighter. His coloring, yeah, he's just all around improved. But like,
Fell. He worked on Fell.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's my favorite book of his, but I'm not allowed to say that anymore.
I'll say it. It's my favorite book of his.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, he had his own. He was posting pages from a book he was working on, his own book. Yeah, he was posting them up on. I don't know if it was his site or his Instagram, but each week he was posting up a few pages, and you could follow it while you're on socials. But I don't see him posting as much on socials. He does mainly just the little. He's doing Inktober now. But for a while there, he was posting a lot of the pages from this book he was working on. It was like some kind of medieval book. It was pretty cool. The pages were really nice. Yeah,
That's cool.
now
Yeah,
I see him mainly doing like commissions and sketch stuff he's been posting. Yeah,
I like 10 grand. Did you check that one out? Like he did that for Image, like I think around 2015.
no, I haven't read
I
that
think it ran for like 15 issues. It was pretty.
one. Then his own one was Wormrot. No, Wormwood.
Yeah, Wormwood Gentleman Corpse. That was pretty
Yeah,
fun too.
that was his. I think he wrote and drew it. Yeah.
Yeah, I got confused that with the Garth Ennis one because they both had Wormwood books at the same time.
Okay.
Completely different shit though.
Yeah.
Good stuff though, both books. I mean,
Yeah.
and they're buddies. I don't think they hold it against each other.
No, but yeah. I mean, that's another one. Whereas, like, people, I don't know. I like artists like that where as soon as you see the work, you know who it is, right? It's like a fingerprint or a signature. I mean, it stands out for the better. I mean,
I don't know. There's a lot of people that can that copy Templesmith, and some of them do it pretty good.
yeah, but I mean,
I think I could be fooled to some of his contemporaries.
yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, it's not
Yeah,
like
but
it's
he has an iconic style of his own, man. Like
yeah,
you know when you're looking at Ben Templesmith's work.
like you could show me a dozen Marvel books, and I wouldn't be able to tell fucking any of the artists apart. But then you get the occasional artist that comes out and like a Raphael Gramba or and as soon as you open that book or you know exactly who the artist is. It's like a fingerprint, right? So, and I think, I mean, more artists should do that. Find a style that's your own. Like, I don't want to say copy, but I mean, you know
Be inspired by, but don't replicate.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because there's too much stuff that looks the same. And I don't know if it's because a lot of people are working digitally, so they're using a lot of the same, like maybe preset brushes and color palettes. They're not customizing their applications enough with like customizable brushes and stuff like that. So they're all using kind of the same tools. So a lot of the works kind of starts to look all the same. I don't know if that's why we're seeing that more and more now. But I don't know. If you're working digitally, man, invest a little money in customizing your brushes, your tools, your color palette. I mean, I don't know, just to make yourself stand out a little more. I don't know. It gets boring sometimes, the visuals on books. They all, storytelling, it's an aesthetic, right? And for me, the art is just as important as the story. And if you're not going to give that book the proper tone to match the story, then what's the fucking point? Either just write a novel, or like, I don't know. I have issues with that, you know. And Templesmith definitely has his own style and brings a tone and an aesthetic to a book that's all his own.
Yeah, there was nothing else that really looked like 30 Days a Night when it hit the shelves, man. Like it shook things up, and like yeah, it really opened the door for like more experimental styles to hit the mainstream. So like yeah, Ben's a torchbearer. You know what I mean? Like he truly is. Oh, another really good book of his that I highly recommend is Singularity 7. Like he wrote and drew that. It's a sci-fi book though. It's kind of about aliens, kind of.
Oh, Sector 7? No. What'd you say it was? Something 7? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Is that good, or I haven't read
Yeah.
it?
I really like it, man.
That's some of his early. That's some of his earlier stuff too, eh?
No, I think he kind of did that. I mean, it's not later, but like he did it after being really known for 30 Days a Night. But it was still an IDW book.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it was IDW. Yeah.
it was while he was still working with them. It was before like he kind of became an image guy and stuff. But yeah,
But
37.
good stuff. I like his stuff. Really cool stuff. So that's pretty much it for me, man. That's the Templesmith Niles stuff. Did you ever read the Possessed story that Steve Niles wrote? It's based on Jewish folklore, like a ghost or a demon possessing
A Dybbuk box?
Yeah, exactly. Did you read that one? That was pretty good too.
No, but I saw the movie based on it.
Okay.
With what's his name?
Okay.
The comedian.
Okay, that was really good. That was really good. That's one he wrote that I read a while back. I think that's pretty much it. I have a bunch of his other stuff that I just haven't gotten to yet in my pull box, but yeah. So that's pretty much all I've got, man.
Yeah.
So Saturday, tomorrow, are we still doing that hot flash for the Lotus Land?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll be doing an advanced review for Boom Studios book that's going to be coming out, written by Darcy Van Polgeist. And who's the artist on that? I don't remember his name.
Yeah, give me a second.
Yeah.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, so we'll be doing a hot flash tomorrow on that. We'll give an advanced review. That'll just be a quick, like, 15-20 minute episode where we talk about that book, because FOC is going to be on Monday, on October 23rd. Will be your final order cutoff to order that book from your shops. And then usually the book drops a week or two after the FOC. So
okay, it is the art by Caio Felipe or Philippi or
Philippi, yeah,
CAIO Philippi.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with the writer, Darcy is the writer of Little Bird. If you've read that, well, he's the writer of that book. So he's done some good stuff, and I think he's also wrote for Dark Horse. Is it Critical Role they have?
He writes one of the double.
He wrote one of the spin-offs from that. Yeah. Yeah, he worked on that as well, and it's been in the works for a while, which I think it'll be dropping. I'm sure he'll be announcing something soon about Precious Metal. Will be the follow-up to Little Bird with Ian Bertram. He's working on that as well at the moment. I think they're in final edits or final touch-ups, or they're finishing that book up. There's been delays, but from what he's posted, it looks cool.
What time are we doing that hot flash again?
I was thinking we could do it tomorrow in the afternoon. Maybe, I think usually we usually do 4:00 Eastern.
Okay.
That's what we were doing. Does that work for you, or?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and then Sunday, Sunday Fun Day will be our Sunday Spank episode for the part 2 of Deadly Class. We'll be doing that on Sunday. Yeah.
And we'll be joined by Spanky, our homie, who I completely did not rip off for the idea of this episode, by the way. Like, I came up with this on my own. Like, I was the first guy to ever think of talking about their You Guys at Night. No, yeah, thanks, Matt. Cheers, bud. I'm glad you had Joe read it. It totally saved our bacon this week.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll be doing that on Sunday at 2. It'll be 2 p.m. Eastern. It'll be 7 UK time. So yeah, we'll be full spoilers, heavy spoilers. We'll be diving into the second deluxe edition of Deadly Class.
I want to reiterate that, and I'll say it at the beginning of this episode. There will be spoilers, and this is a book that, like, spoilers are going to mean a fucking lot. Like, so be sure that you know that before you watch this with us, because I don't want to hear about it, because we are going to talk about some big twists. I mean, right, Joe? Like, I don't want to give too much away, but like this book.
Oh yeah,
this
it's
book
brutal.
Has zingers. So like,
is it? It's in this one. Oh yeah, it's in this one. The brutal.
Yeah,
right, because that's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of shit happens in this one. Yeah.
So
so
like, yeah, we will be covering spoilers. I just want to make that abundantly clear to everybody. So
yeah, man.
We got a lot this weekend, and we got Alex Carmack and David Peepo's going to be here on Monday. We're going to be talking to them about The Devil That Wears My Face and other things, because they're both very accomplished writers, and we're both very big fans of theirs. So we're going to be talking about them about everything. But yeah, really cool dudes. Can't wait to talk to them. That's going to be an exciting interview. So yeah, we got lots this week. So hope to see you guys there. Until next time, check you later. Have a nice Halloween, spooky season, y'all. Take it easy.